The weaver of unspoken words. Anthy didn't just knit sweaters and socks for the winter. In her small attic workshop, she knitted the words that people were too afraid to say. Every ball of yarn held the color of a feeling, the deep blue of nostalgia, the bright yellow of a hidden hope, the gray of a silent apology. From her balcony, she watched the passers-by on the street. She saw the bowed head of a man who had just said goodbye, or the hesitant step of a woman who wanted to turn back. Anthy caught these moments in the air and transformed them into thread, believing that nothing should remain unspoken. Pavlos was the neighborhood postman. Every day he climbed the stairs of the old apartment building with his bag full of letters. But Pavlos felt the weight of the envelopes as if they were stones. He knew which ones were bills, which were notices, and which were simply ignored. He felt as though he carried only obligations and never joy. Anthy watched him every afternoon from her window. She noticed his shoulders growing tighter and tighter. She decided that Pavlos needed something that couldn't be bought, a word of comfort that hadn't been written on any paper. She began to knit a scarf using the softest green yarn she had, the color of serenity. As she knitted, Anthy whispered stories into the fabric. Stories of gardens that bloom at night and seas that calm after a storm. The scarf grew, and with it grew her intention to lighten the heart of the man who carried everyone else's words but never received any of his own. One rainy Tuesday, Pavlos knocked on her door to deliver a registered package. He was soaked, and his shoulders trembled slightly from the cold. "Come in for a moment, Mr. Pavlos," Anthy said in her warm voice. "The tea is ready." They sat in the kitchen. Steam rose from the cups, blurring the window panes. Pavlos began to talk. He spoke of the loneliness of the streets and how sometimes he felt like an invisible man who simply connected houses. Anthy listened with the kind of attention one gives to an old song. When it was time for him to leave, Anthy took the green scarf from the armchair. "This is for you," she told him. "It's made of the words we forget to say to ourselves. That we are important, that we are noticed, that our fatigue has value." Pavlos wrapped it around his neck and felt a sudden warmth, and not just from the wool. In the days that followed, Pavlos walked through the neighborhood with a different air. The green scarf fluttered behind him like a flag. The letters in his bag didn't seem so heavy anymore. He began to smile at the people who opened their doors, and they, surprised, smiled back. Anthy returned to her needles. Now she was knitting something in a rose petal pink, inspired by the smile she had seen on the street that morning. She knew the world would always be full of silences, but as long as there was someone to listen to them and weave them, no one would ever truly be alone.